One of the items of recent controversy has been the referenda that are going to be on the ballot for the March 19 presidential primary election. Our viewers will be doing that in just a couple of days, going to the polls.
Mm-hmm.
3 referenda are on the ballot for Thornton Township. The one that is most significant and generating the most headlines, shall we say, is regarding mental health. So a tax increase to fund mental health services at the township level. Local legislators have urged residents to vote against that. Many local mayors have urged residents to vote no on that. I'm curious what your understanding is of that referendum, and if you have any opinion. I know you can't speak on behalf of the township and tell people how to vote, but if you have any opinions or concerns regarding that referendum.
Sure. Well, as far as the referendum goes, this is the second time it's being tried.
That's right.
It failed the first time. But I think, a lot of people have been talking about the tax increase, and I'm a person, obviously I'm not for, generally a tax increase. Sometimes, let's face it, it might be necessary or something like that.
Yeah.
But to the point, exactly, the township actually had in the past already a mental health program going that was actually basically dismantled.
Yeah.
There were a lot of tricks, or not tricks, but just things that weren't working for a little while, mainly because of COVID. Obviously you just can't, you just weren't able to do a lot of those things for a little while. But then after coming out, it just wasn't really put back together, basically. So the township already had a mechanism for that. We were already doing it.
Yeah.
We could start it back up as soon as possible if there
Sure.
really was, if it was just a point of saying, hey, somebody saying, I feel this strongly about mental health, there's a need, then let's do it. The infrastructure's there, just do it. So, to me, that's the first point, just like I said. Then why do we need a referendum initially if everything's basically there?
Right.
That's kind of the first thing.
And there seems to be a record of, I remember it was one of the first board meetings where Supervisor Henyard had become a supervisor. One of the first firings was someone in the counseling
Correct,
department.
Exactly, yes, definitely.
So there's a track record there that exists of seemingly not making that a priority.
Exactly,
and now
correct.
to say that it is a priority seems maybe disingenuous.
Yeah, exactly, yes, no, definitely. And then kind of the second point to that is, I feel we've had some issues already with transparency, with being open about the finances. So how could we realistically think about adding more to that? So that's kind of where I'm at.
So in other words, even if you're on board with funding additional mental health services at the township
which
level,
is a serious thing, obviously,
right.
And
you might not be 100% confident that the money raised for that is going to be going towards
correct.
that purpose.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, okay. Especially last year when we were going through it, I said, okay, so everything's out there. We got this referendum, but where's the detail saying? All we saw was an estimate of what was going to come in, but okay, where's the breakdown? Or at least, once again, an estimate. Obviously, you don't know exact numbers, but we estimate that, just once again, as an example, 80% of every dollar we bring in is going to go directly to helping people. That's what I want to see.
Sure.
And obviously, not only last year, but this year.
Sure.
Nothing like that.
So things like a hiring plan.
Oh, exactly. Yep. We estimate.
Things,
we're going to at least start with this many employees.
Sure.
We obviously might need a director or whatever.
Right.
We estimate that these are going to be our estimated what we think we might be pay them or things like that. Once again, you never know exactly until you really start putting. But you could have examples. That's
sure.
You have to actually. How could you throw out saying, hey, we're going to bring in $3 million and just don't worry about it. We'll fill in the blanks later. It just doesn't. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, or shouldn't. Or shouldn't. So that's kind of where I'm at on that.
All right. So we mentioned that talking about the kind of referendum that everyone is more concerned about, but there are 3 total. The other
Correct.
2, one is regarding a second food pantry, and the other is charging $2 for a township soup and salad bar. So there are 3 total referenda. And the Illinois Election Code in Section 28 says that only 3 referenda may be put on the ballot by one public body. In other words, Thornton Township is at the max right now for referenda and an election. I'm curious if you feel there is a significance to there being those three, given that some of those other two, opening a second food pantry, charging $2 for the soup and salad bar, don't seem like the usual, doesn't meet the usual standard for going to the public to consult for an issue like that. So I'm wondering if you think there's a significance to those three.
No, I definitely do. I mean, I just feel that it was intended to crowd the ballot and not allow anything else to be put on that maybe might have been, something seen as negative towards the administration.
I see.
Because and in that meeting when it was being voted on, I had asked the question. I'm pretty sure you were at that one, but I had asked the question. I said, okay, we're talking about another food pantry and a soup kitchen, because the supervisor was saying how she's heard that there's such a need and things like that. And I said, well, the bottom line is if you feel there's a need and you would just finish saying, that we have money, then let's just do it. I mean,
sure,
that's the bottom line to me. And really, the same thing had happened the year before. I don't remember off the top of my head as far as what they were, but there was a couple things that were on the ballot that just, like you said, they just weren't normal
don't
things.
Rise to that
like,
level.
Exactly, you put it perfectly.
It leads us to think why there are three, and so one possible explanation is crowding out any potential adverse.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep. And if I understood it correctly, you could only put it on something on once a year, as far as being a specific referendum question. It's about the people. If there's a need, then we have the money. Once again, though, let's put it down. Let's say
let's make the plan.
Yeah,
Let's see the plan.
Even for the referendum, there's no plan. And as far as those two questions,
opening a second pantry would be
how much is it?
logistical.
Yep. How much is it going to cost?
Right.
Things of that nature. But there's, like I said, it's just thrown out there, and there's no backup.